Hey everybody, it's Robert here from Mentors4mil. Thanks so much for tuning in each time we drop a new episode. If you want to subscribe to the podcast and everything, please do so here. You can do it on any one of the other platforms via audio, whether that's Spotify, Podbean, iTunes Radio, whatever the case may be, Apple Podcasts. You can go out there and do it that way as well. To subscribe here, go up there, hit the subscribe button, and then don't forget to hit the little bell at the top right-hand corner of the page. That'll allow you the opportunity to get all new episodes as soon as they drop. You can also support the podcast if you're so inclined to go out there to patreon.com, Mentors4mil, and do so there. Follow us on all the social media, Mentors4mil. And on this episode here, we're joined by Dutch Chris Moyer. Dutch was on the episode, I want to say it was 278. I think we'll put it down in the show notes. We also talk about it here on the episode. Spent over 30 years in the Army, starting out as a tanker, moving on from there and going into Ranger Regiment and becoming a Ranger for a number of years before he went on to the tip of the spear as a JSOC Operator and a K9 Handler. He gets into the K9 portion of the discussion in this episode, as well as an accident and one of the training missions where he had a door that actually off a car came flying up and hit him in the face, and his recovery time from that. And he shares a little bit more on that story. A number of other things around leadership and those types of things. So be sure to check out the full episode and, reach out to us and leave your comments down below. We'd love to hear from each and every one of you. Again, thanks so much for tuning in each time we drop a new episode. Take care.
I was struck by the door. I took a knee, and I was spitting stuff out, mostly blood and teeth. And I told Paul was our medic, and he said, "You're good." He goes, "Are you good?" I said, "I'm good. I'm good." And he goes, "No, you're not getting Humvee. You're not good."
Robert, Mentors for Military. We're at Line Creek Brewing Company, and if you've been following our podcast for a little while, you've probably seen part of the reason why we're here, and it's mainly because they brewed some beer for veterans, and we're trying to highlight not only this establishment, but the beer that they brewed. There's stuff that goes back from the hops. It goes to Hunter 7 Foundation, all the way through to $1 for every beer that's purchased goes towards local nonprofits. They were kind enough to let us back here in their brew space, and it's really cool. So joined by sidekicks Paul Martinez.
Hey, everybody.
And Kyle Neal.
How you guys doing?
So we've got a good friend back again. So it was 2 years ago, I guess, or a year and a half ago, that Dutch was on the show. So Dutch Moyer, and I don't remember the episode number.
I don't either.
287, I believe.
Oh,
nice. Look at the check out the big brain on Kyle.
Is it 287?
Let's go, Kyle.
Do not quote me on that, but if it is 287, I'll take all the
Please take all the credit for that.
All the credit.
And Dutch actually in 2001, I believe, was the number one podcast for the episode for that year.
Yeah.
So he's hoping, of course, you're going to help him. The listeners here and people on YouTube are going to help do that again.
Well, that's why you did this here. You brought me here. You said, "Please come here. We need a boost." Just kidding. You guys are doing a great job. We're talking about this earlier offline, and you guys are now making yourself. You're gaining traction.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I would say. You're gaining traction in the social media world and in the YouTube world. You're doing good things. So
Well, we want to talk about a lot of the stuff that you're doing as well. Of course, you've always had DCM Consulting, and people can go out and check out your Instagram page and other website and all those types of things to learn more about not only your background, which we'll get into here, but also your current work. And they may be interested in that as well. So good stuff.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. So we're just going to sit around and kind of shoot the shit and have a conversation, because it's a little bit different when we already know somebody being on the episode and everything else. We can kind of talk about things that we didn't really cover in the past. And so...
Yeah, we talked for quite some time last time, and then there was... it was like, well, hey, about this and this. And they're like, oh, holy cow. We can talk for a while. And, I like the sound of my own voice, so I can talk.
Well, apparently, so does everybody else. So.
That's right.
Yeah, you're in good company.
That worked out.
So I guess back in that episode, maybe what we'll do is we'll start off with giving a brief summary of your background. So you can always stop me if I don't state it correctly. So started off in armor, which is fantastic because so did I, and that's probably the primary reason why. And then when we started down that episode, and you started talking about armor and the whole bitch, it was giving me flashbacks, and always good things, but at least they were flashbacks. End up going then and transitioning into infantry, and went off into airborne. Went through RIP and ended up going into one of the battalions, and I don't remember which. First. Right.
Yeah.
First Battalion, and after some period of time of carrying the load there, decided to go and better yourself and continue on in special operations, tip of the spear in different aspects and stuff. We're going to get into K9. We didn't get into that discussion about your work that you did while in special operations in K9 and stuff, but did a bit of that. So did I do a fairly good job?
Did a great job.
Okay.
Come on.
Great.
Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah. So I think one of the things I want to talk about that we didn't get a chance to do, it was the accident. Now, you posted a photo last year, I think it was, your face all like swollen, the whole bit, and we never got a chance to talk about that, and I knew that was one of those things that we wanted to cover the last time you were here, but time got away from us.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. To me, it's a cool story. I have plenty of injuries and maladies that you could talk to about. And this is so, and I'll get into that here in just a second. But like in this year, I'm going to Arkansas. Let me back up. I am going to Arkansas for that, but I'm not going to speech about that. So I'm going to Wisconsin to the Midwest Tactical Officers Association, and I'm going to give a speech. And it was funny because my guy's Todd Appleton, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to speak for 4 hours." I said, 4 hours?
That's a long speech.
Wow. 4 hours?
That's not a speech. That's like a whole
4 hours. I said, people will be dead. They'll be bored. They'll shoot themselves. 4 hours, bro. We can't do 4 hours. So what I did do, I've done speeches for SF Cats and some other folks around, but leadership is one.
Yeah.
And then we'll do resilience, and that's why I'm segueing to that. So the resilience portion, I was talking to another professional, and I said, what allows you to be so resilient after 31 years? I did 31 years. I was associated with the Army for 31 years.
That's insane.
And
that's the long.
That deserves a medal in
those
itself.
out there in the real world.
It's called Legion of Merit. They kick you out. They go, "Hey, here's Legion of Merit."
That is an eon in the Army.
Yeah. So
There's a statue at Bragg.
you mentioned graduating from Rangers. So I loved my Ranger time, 92 or so to 99, and then to me, you as a man, you test your mettle. And I want to be better. I want to go somewhere. I want to do something that means something. So of course, to me, the regular professional trail would be to go and try out for the premier counterterrorist unit on the planet. I want to go to JSOC and be an operator. So that's where I went. And then so I show up and I navigate my way through that, and I navigate my way through school, and I'm an accepted member of the tribe. And we're preparing for a mission in Bosnia Herzegovina, right? And we're going after Pithwicks. And if you guys don't know these ridiculous, I know you know a lot of them, but this is a ridiculous acronym. This is people indicted for war crime. So that was the thing that we did there. Okay. And so we have this mission. We're going to get this guy. I don't remember the personality. I have no idea. And we wanted to stop the car as it drove from A to Z, wherever it was going. And so we started experimenting with ways to stop cars. And we did many things. We did the nets, we did tire, like the law enforcement agents do. They, tire cutters.
Like a spike strip.
Spike strip, thank you very much. And so we did all that. And then we had this new device that we were experimenting with from the Israelis. And it was called a Simon device, and this is where people get nicknames.
Is this the the barrel? It goes on the end of your M4 barrel?
Goes on the end of your M4.
Yes.
And it's a hollow charge weapon that's a standoff breaching tool. So you could be 30 meters away from the front door and hit this thing. You know, it doesn't cycle your weapon. You got to recharge your weapon to go back into work.
Right.
And it goes blasting the door down. And you can do it from a distance. Pardon me. And the boss said, hey, look, we got a car. We're going to see what it does to the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it immobilize a car? And we had a car, obviously on the range. And then we decided we would shoot it against the front motor, front motor, the motor.
Yeah.
And it worked. We could see that this was going to work.
Right.
So we take a couple shots at it, we do our thing, and we leave. And now we go up to prepare for this mission. And guy says, hey, you know what? Your mission's changed. Your team will be beyond this one point, wherever it is. And if that car gets through here, everybody gets the good news. I'm like, wow, that's easy. Everybody gets the good news?
Yeah.
We can do that. I got a machine gun for that. Right? Everybody gets it.
Yeah.
We got a machine gun for that.
Yeah, we got an app for that, right?
Yeah.
And
lots to the everywhere.
yeah, so we go back downrange though, and we decide that we're going to say, well, we have the Simon device. Let's see what it does to targetry on the inside of the vehicle. And that's how this whole thing started. So we go back and we put targets in there, and we want to see what's going to happen when the Simon device strikes the cab of the car.
Yeah.
And sure, we never done this before, man. This is new, right? So we just went down there and took a medic, me and my buddy Bill. We go down there, and I shoot the car, and I hit the B pillar, right on the B pillar.
So A-frame being front left of the B pillar being the pillar between front seat and back seat.
I'm glad you explained that, because
There you
there's
go.
a bunch of morons out there that don't know where that is.
Guys, it's A, B, and C when you talk about frames of a car.
So
A's
there's
in the front,
men.
B's in
So
the
this is
middle.
the problem, right? We're going to segue into other crap going on here, but there's a problem with men that don't understand where the A and B pillar are in a car. Okay, so the A pillar is right where the windscreen, exactly right, where the windscreen holds, right, and the B pillar is that. Oh, obviously A and then B follows A, the pillar right there. Well, it struck that B pillar, made a really cool explosion, and it threw the door right back into my face.
Oh.
So it wasn't the complete door; it was the skin of the door, which was plenty.
Yeah.
And then men would say, how come you didn't duck? I don't remember. I don't know, because it was
Probably nanoseconds.
it was really fast.
Yeah.
It was. We had talked about that too. So this is a tool, right? Things happen for reasons. And then later on, we understood that we would never do that in that kind of angle anymore. We would have a much greater angle, so that this would never happen to anybody. But I was struck by the door. I took a knee, and I was spitting stuff out, mostly blood and teeth. And I told Paul was our medic, and he said, "You're good." He goes, "Are you good?" I said, "I'm good. I'm good." And he goes, "No, you're not getting Humvee.
You're not good.
And so, so I jumped in Humvee and went back immediately. We're graced. I'm jaded with there's a medical center right on site. Went straight to there. That's where you saw those photos that I got.
Yeah.
And I had a giant hematoma on my left face, on my left side. This is where the predominant strike was. And who knows? You probably could see some scars here and whatnot. But I broke my neck, broke my jaw. I lost 6 teeth. I lost 3 total. 3 other teeth were broken, so they had to be repaired, obviously. But and I got traked for it. So it was pretty sporty.
Did they go in and do the neck surgery and everything?
No,
or?
so the neck break was actually minor. So, can I say that I broke my neck and survived? Yes.
Just a minor neck break.
As minor as a neck
I was
break
going to
would
say,
be.
what's a minor neck?
Well, I don't know the
C4, there's a point at which you get paralyzed. I think the higher,
the wings. What are the
3,
wings
4.
called?
I don't know what they're called, but I know.
You know what I'm talking about? So they were broken or cracked. But, in the end, it all worked out. It showed me a lot about me. It showed me a lot about the men that even run the organization to the men that are around you every day. There was a speech I gave. I said, every day it had to be cleaned. Pardon me. Every day I was on a crap ton of morphine, and then there was this retro to that. I would have episodes where I would, throw the brace off and, yell and scream, and I don't even remember that. So there was cool things like that happen.
Cool things.
But I would tell my wife, I say, hey, you guys would call me. Kyle would call me. Paul would call me. Joel was a great friend of mine. He called me. And I got off the phone and I said, that's a good MFer right there. That dude's a great dude. And she said, you know what? I'm tired about hearing the great dudes. I'm just tired of it. Tell me who the crappy dudes are. Yeah. Well, I haven't found any.
Yeah, they're not my friends.
I don't know. But it wasn't just friends. These people, again, that's part of the organization's hallmark. The people are combed through and picked through and really sifted to be really the best people.
Yeah, but the spirit.
You better have some great dudes with you if you're going to do some hairy stuff.
I got to be telling I tell people even today, right, all the time, if someone's thinking about going this journey, I said that it's just amazing. It's always been amazing to me. I think we touched it last time we were here, but I'm constantly amazed by how this particular group of men can do the things that they do all the time. So that was it. So then I didn't go on the mission, by the way.
No, well, I can imagine why.
Everybody deployed but me. My tail was firmly ensconced between my legs, and I remember raising my boy onto the Christmas tree. I got to stay home for Christmas because we did this right before Christmas. But the other cool things was welcome to the Army for my wife as well. It was. Yeah. We just got married in 2000. Oh. And this was right after that. And Dale Daly was the JSOC commander, and he's saying, "I'll walk your dogs for you if you need it. I'll do whatever." People would. Wow. The support was amazing. Just amazing. So.
What was the recovery time?
It was a month and change.
That's it for all of that.
I had to wear my jaw was wired shut for a month. Jaw wired shut for a month. I wore a collar for a long time, and then.
So Dutch did not speak for a month, or.
So milkshakes. It was milkshakes, baby. Milkshakes all the time. Protein awesome. Milkshake. Protein. Yeah. Give me a protein milkshake.
That sounds kind of awesome.
Yeah, and it was, hey, do you want to put, steak in it? No,
that sounds terrible.
Yeah,
no,
just don't do that.
I ate milkshakes for 30 days. Yeah, pretty much. Protein milkshakes for 30 days.
Do you drink them now?
Oh yeah, but I don't have to suck through a straw.
Yeah, it's true.
And here's another thing. I don't know if you've ever seen a man drink a beverage with a straw. You probably have done it before.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I'm with you on that.
Seriously, right? Real men do not use straws,
especially not a milkshake.
Real men don't use straws, man. You ever see that big dude, that giant German, genetic dude freak? He's in the gym and he's deadlifting 5,000 pounds or whatever else.
Yeah, that's
and then
me.
he goes to the counter and gets a smoothie.
Yeah.
And he's sucking on a straw
like a hummingbird trying to get nectar.
Yep.
Resilience. Coming back off of that, how long did it take before you get back into,
back in the mix?
Yeah, a speed.
I have to be honest with you, Rob. I don't remember. I don't remember how long it took.
Really?
I don't remember. I don't say it took me 75 days. I remember going right back to work. The men were gone.
Yeah.
I took 30 days leave, convalescent. I had to wear the thing on my mouth for 30 days. I wore a collar for a while and went back to work.
But I'm assuming that you wanted to get back into the fight, and you did not want to let the boys down. So
yes.
So you did every damn thing you could to get to the point of when they arrived back on the scene, there was no break. There was no difference.
It's time to go to work.
Yeah.
Go to work if I could, right? Get on some sort of cardio machine. Get back. You got to get back on the horse, man. So,
well, I'd imagine, and I think a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of things you can do for that organization that don't involve you on the ground.
Sure.
Running around.
Sure.
So you were probably doing as much as you could, as soon as you could.
Whatever I could.
In any role.
I remember guys in the hallway going, it's funny, man. Yeah, I knew it was you. You'd survive that because you lift so much weight. Oh, yeah, your neck is really thick. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. That worked out. That all worked out, man. And so it's like, when you talk about resilience with anyone, whether it's like Redmond did get Navy SEAL, got shot in the face. He was ruined, whether it's guys like Goggins or if it's like Roy Benavidez, who in Vietnam was shot. And how many times
That
he got
guy.
shot, right?
Is that guy even real?
MOH
Yeah.
story of all time.
Dude, that's that indigenous blood, man.
Yeah, man, you
That's
like zipping him
that's
up.
a
He's
different
spitting
kind
in the
of
dude's face. Like,
different
I'm
kind
not
of
dead.
man.
Yeah.
So
That's the shit.
it's a
right there,
fantastic story, but it's you just what it all comes down to. What are you prepared to do? What do you want? What do you want? You want to be a victim? Then by all means, go to
Yeah.
the back of the room,
Right.
get in a fetal position, and quit,
Yeah.
or don't.
Was there someone you thought about while you were going through this, and you're like, okay, this is similar to like Roy Benavidez or somebody like that? What that you're like, okay, this is my inspiration, or this is like, if this guy could do this, it's much harder than what I'm going through. Albeit what you went through is extremely hard.
No, it was harder without a doubt for guys like Benavidez, to be in combat, to be shot numerous times, and then to continue to do what he did. Or even guys like Redmond, I didn't even know who he was then at the time. Besides, he was wounded in Fallujah long before I was injured. Long after, rather, I was injured in Fort Bragg. But so the real answer to your question is no. But to me, I think I looked at maybe a little bit more, I don't want to say narcissistic, but a little bit more self-centered. I don't want to lose this opportunity, one.
Yeah.
And I can see where I'm being supported in a great way. I got to get back in here and get working.
Yeah.
But isn't there already kind of I wouldn't call it a motto, but what is mentioned as basically, you got to earn every day kind of thing, and I forget what it is.
The Navy SEALs love it, right? Yeah, every day was yesterday. The hardest day was yesterday, or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But for what you were in, there is also something.
Selection is an ongoing process.
That.
So whatever you do, right,
Yeah.
obviously affects your longevity here at this organization. So, accidental discharges,
Wait.
failure.
You guys have those?
Failure. Every organization that plays with guns will have those, right? It doesn't matter who they are. But obviously, if there's if a man has an accidental discharge and makes it a habit, then and it's not. I will tell you this too. The organization will say that they don't want the best people; they want the right people.
Yeah.
So if there's someone, I knew guys that had an accident and then had to leave and came back. I knew guys that had an accident, and then money was removed from my pocket because you're also part of an organization that, an E6 here, an 82nd Airborne, or an E6 and 101st or 3rd ID, wherever, the E6 there is getting more money. He's getting demo pay. He's getting jump pay. He's getting dangerous pay. And then later on, of course, there was operator pay. So, yeah, you got. Yeah, we can take your money. Yeah. Now you're on probation. You take your money, you're on probation. You make this a habit, obviously you're going to be fired. You can't do this anymore. So, yeah, most of the time, training removes that. Long before you ever get to be part of the tribe. But,
Right.
But sometimes it happens. It just does.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's a culture where it's like, okay, we've invested this much into you. 2, we know our process for selecting you, so we know more or less your worth. Can you live up to that? And then everybody makes mistakes. We're humans, and especially in a high pressure environment. But they're willing to say, okay, you made the mistake. This is how you make amends.
Yeah,
you remain a valuable member of
this
this
is a great
team,
point.
rather than some of the organizations you and I have been involved in before, where it's like, you stepped on your crank, get out.
No, so again, this organization works on common sense and good leadership. So if this doesn't work, can we bypass this? Can we change this? Can we work this out? Or is it a blanket term? And there are times there.
Sure.
Obviously you have to go. But yeah, anyway, and it worked out. So, but yeah, I have plenty of resilient stories. Right after, give or take, it was before the war started. My back was killing me. I went to Walter Reed, and neurosurgeon said, "You're a great candidate for laminectomy discectomy."
What the hell's that?
I said, "Great, so let's do that. No, let's do it tomorrow. I want to do it yesterday because I want to get in the fight here. I can't, I can't feel my left leg, or I can't do what I need to do because my back hurts so much." So laminectomy discectomy is removing some disc and removing some bone, so the nerve center is clear.
Right.
Because it's causing this whole thing in my left leg. And then his name was Manachi. He's a great guy. He said, hey, guess what? You're going to need this again. I said, we can't do this right now twice. He goes, it's not the way it works. He was very prophetic. 7 years later, number 2. Yep. Bam.
Wow.
But before right when number 1 was over, when I fast roped with kid on. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, I'm clear. I can fast rope with kid on without pain. Yeah. I'm good. And then the towers came down. So it was just right there where I'm like, all right, now we're good, right? I'm good. And then 7 years later, had it again. Oh. 7 years later, had it again. So now I'm at 4.
How many lives do you have in you?
Well, at some point,
he knows. I don't know.
At some point, the fusion's going to come at that point.
So that's number 4 was the fusion.
Okay. There you go. Well, you don't do the discectomy and laminectomy without knowing that the fusion is coming anywhere from a decade to decade and a half later.
Yeah. So that'd be something that I would love to feed you those photographs. And now the fusion was the most important. It's limited my movement slightly, but yeah. I can do anything I wanted to now. And really? I was like, wow, how come I couldn't do this first? It just wasn't the way the back was made. Not yours, not my personal back, it just wasn't made that way.
Yeah, but you've had to recover from back injuries. So
yeah, I've been offered I think I just haven't accessed the right surgeon. But they want to go straight to fusions, plates, pins, stuff like that. But they also, every doc I've ever talked to, they're like, we're gonna go a more extreme route or a more aggressive route, in my opinion. And they're like, you shouldn't be riding horses, you shouldn't be deadlifting, you shouldn't be, doing all of these things that I love to do. And I just don't believe them, because if I go and talk to a doctor and they say, okay, I see an X-ray and surgery, but they haven't asked me about my diet, how often I'm doing mobility training, how often what my sleep is, what my diet is, like all this stuff, then they don't have a full picture. I've never tried intense yoga for 6 or 7 weeks at a time, but I did intense PT down at Exos in Florida, in Pensacola, and that took 10 years off the clock. And I went to riding horses for 5, 6, 7 hours a day, young horses, with Austin Shepard, the famous cutting horse trainer.
Nice.
And that's something doctors told me 10 years ago I shouldn't be doing.
Left, right.
Oh yeah.
Well, I watch
me not as much. I was more like get this 3-year-old settled down a little bit before I get on him, because you're the crash test.
I think that's super cool, because it's
so much fun.
I rode a horse when I was in Germany years ago, and I want to do it again. I just need to find some real cowboys.
Oh, I got you. We'll talk after this.
Yeah, because the Moore County, North Carolina, it's not cowboys. It's show. It's jumping and shows. It's jumping horses, that's cool. I get it. I mean,
that's super cool.
Yeah, but there's a lot of English saddle.
Yeah,
there's a lot of jumping.
A lot of European.
Yeah, a lot of European stuff. There's blankets on horses. I'm like, what? Blankets on a horse? It's North Carolina. It's not Montana. Yeah, we're not in Banff. We're not in Alberta, where there's some real cowboys up there in Alberta.
Right.
So anyways, but yeah, so when I talk resiliency, and I'm going to do it in Wisconsin this year, and that's one of the things, and it's to me, it's just that, what are you prepared to do? I'll do that over and over again, but go ahead. What do you got?
Oh, we're directing the light.
I know you are.
Yeah, sorry. I was with Rob. You're good right there. Sorry.
Nice.
We were trying to
make a shadow. When you're in a unit like that, like, you have some external factors that are very compelling when it comes to why you should be resilient, why you should overcome this. Because you've got the golden ticket, right? You got to earn it every day. Don't get me wrong, but you're there, right? And it took so much to get through the door. But now you're not in that unit anymore. So when you face adversity and when you face hardship, what's driving you forward? What's in your mind when you're like, okay, I'm up against this, I got to fight through, or I got to quit?
That's a cool question. One, what are you prepared to do right now as a man on this in America? Mm-hmm. We know that the rubber band is being stretched right now, and so to me, how am I going to make it a great example for my children? Number one.
Okay.
How am I going to protect my family? And then how do I protect others around me? And if I've done all these things for 31 years, right? So now it's obligation to me, right? And then, so when I just gave this speech in Kentucky at the Kentucky TOA, I said, one of the things I finished with is, look to your left, look to your right. those are the people that are important, not you.
Yeah.
Not you. Not you at all. So, I trademarked the thing, my sword is your shield. That comes from the Roman phalanxes and the Greek hoplites that fought long ago. And they actually made, a guy, the hoplite, his shield was actually for someone else.
Yep.
Right.
Right. Well, he had his spear, his little spear here, but his shield was made for someone else. Look, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
The term right-hand man, that's where that comes from.
Yes, it is.
Because your right hand is what you're using. That's your sword hand. And your right-hand man is carrying his shield
on
in his left hand
to be your right-hand man.
Right. So that's where it comes from.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I see it. It's not for me anymore.
Okay.
Do I travel? I travel a lot. Of course, I want people in the seats. Yeah, but I want to show you that these things are responsibilities that we need to have as men, and to keep this society going that we need, right? And that's I don't know if that's a good answer to it or not.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it must be a good answer because that's what you're doing.
It's an answer.
Working.
Yeah.
That's
might not be the preferred answer. I don't want to stop. Number one, right? I have a debt. So I read a book a long time ago called Gratitude. Funny right now, I can't think of Mr. Buckley, William F. Buckley, and he wrote this book called Gratitude. It's just having the gratitude that comes from the men the women that came before you, Revolutionary, Civil War, all the other wars, and law enforcement officers. Where I have a debt. I segue. I talked to my dad. I said, "Hey, when do you stop paying dues?" He said, "I'll let you know." he's 86. So we don't ever stop, and we need to remember that, right? You're not stopping. So you're not stopping paying dues. You're not stopping owing debts. We owe these people that came along before us that made this place a great place. And and sadly, again with the rubber band stretching metaphor, it might be getting ugly right now. It might be scary. It's a little scary. It's sporty.
I think there's a lot of things that are scary, and I think it's easy to despair. You look at the news and you look at values that oppose your own, and it's really easy. And it doesn't really matter what side of the spectrum you're on. I think people on both sides are scared. I think it's important to remember though that the human race has never been more prosperous. It's never been more productive. It's never been safer. We don't worry about infant mortality rates. That's not even a thing that people think of anymore. We don't worry about, we talk about food insecurity, but people aren't really starving. And abject poverty is lower than it has ever been in the history of humanity.
No,
and I
totally
think,
agree.
look, we have a ton of work to do. If we're going to talk about the things that are going on in society, there's a ton of work to do in so many arenas. But at the same time, it's important to take a minute, go outside, look at your community. Are the terrible things you see on the news happening in your neighborhood? Are they happening in your city or wherever you happen to live? And if the answer is no, then take heart in that because you're part of a good community.
Yep.
And that you can make better by all means. And if you do happen to see those things, well, then get out and do it, because the guys that are sitting on the national news and the guys that are sitting in Washington, they have very, very little influence and control over what's going to happen locally, especially if you're standing with your community.
Totally agree with that. It all starts locally. All
100%.
Period.
So
all starts locally.
I think that. Well, I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm going to be completely honest.
It's all right, man. We're diving down to the rabbit hole anyway.
A little bit.
Well, I want to get to something that's kind of near and dear to your heart, which is around leadership and stuff as well. So, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. One, give me an example, and you don't have to give me, a name or anything like that, but give me an example through your military career of a specific time without naming names of what you would say was a good leader. And then give me, on the opposite, a mission, a time, or where you saw, even in garrison or whatever, poor leadership.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a great question, and I do have some examples. So a good friend of mine, I'll name names.
Let's go.
Yeah. So when you tell stories, everyone has a name.
That's right.
So I knew this guy. No, everyone has a name. John Spiso was a platoon sergeant of mine in 175.
Yeah,
and
we know Spiso.
We do know Spiso.
He wrote a book. He wrote a book
I know him
called,
very well.
he wrote a book about secrets of leadership, right?
Yeah.
Lives in Vegas area right now. I just spoke with him the other day via text, but he
JB.
Yep, JB. When I was, I didn't know. Have you done a thing with him?
Oh yeah,
cool.
yeah.
We're trying to get him back on, but that guy is busy, man. He is.
JB and I actually went to college together at Fort Benning, and I never knew it. And then my one of the guys who used to be on this podcast that worked for me for a period of time phoned me up, and he's like, "You know who that is, right?" He actually sat in the classroom and everything, and then we talked about how he was like the smart guy in the class and everything, and so yeah, then fast forward, we're doing this podcast, JB comes on the show and everything, and was phenomenal, but like you said, wrote books on leadership and everything else, so is doing that.
Watching him as a platoon sergeant, and then we were doing individual movement techniques. For those of you who don't know individual movement techniques, the Army has it's high crawl, it's low crawl, high crawl, and 3 to 5 second rush. And what we would add to it was a 3 to 5 second rush while firing. So that was a thing we did. So the way I remember it, I think we were in Panama. I don't know exactly where we were, but somebody was told to do this high crawl, and they did it very poorly. And then JB, sergeant first class, you're in charge of 40 dudes. You don't have to do anything. Right? He showed them, this is exactly what I want, and it was very motivated about the whole thing. And I'm like, I want that. Now, we need this. We need somebody who knows exactly, and not with demeaning anyone. It was a good leadership example. Like, you're going to do it this way because I can. It's easy. Right. You need to be fired up and do it this way.
Coach them up.
Yeah. And so,
well, let's put this in perspective too, a little bit too, because this is 175.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, intense. Maybe not always, like usually riding somebody, I would think, right? You tell me. I mean,
what do you mean?
75 in the battalion.
If you're in a line platoon and battalion, maybe not necessarily a specialty platoon, but a line platoon, an infantry company.
No, specialty platoons too.
Specialty platoons.
I mean, being ridden.
Yeah. So it's usually much more intense.
No. So John was intense.
John
was intense.
I thought you were saying JB was more of a calm demeanor.
No, he was intense, but he showed you this method that through doing.
Highly motivated.
And then, FM 22-100 tells us, be, know, and do.
Yep.
Right? He was that guy.
Okay.
And this is how you do this. I'm showing you right now. And he did it with passion, fervor, ability, and, whatever it was, whatever that task might have been. And then, so that was a good leadership example, right? Obviously. Later on in my career, I had a guy named Bob. I'm not going to go with last names.
That's probably
we'll just call him Bob.
It's later on.
He was awesome. Loved him. And he's controversial. I'll tell you right now. I loved him. And he was hard. Which is good, right? Erwin Rommel, Patton, whomever else, I'm pretty sure it was Erwin Rommel who said it first, but sweat saves blood in combat. So, he understood completely that you had to work really hard, even though you were at the tip of the spear. There are prima donnas that go to organizations that, I've reached this level, don't got to do that anymore. Oh, yeah, you do, by the way. And then you need leaders.
And you have to do it better than everybody else.
You do, and you need leaders that will show you that. Segue to Band of Brothers. There are some examples of Lieutenant Sobel in the first episode of Band of Brothers that they hated him, but they obviously benefited from his poor leadership because he became hated, of course, and they ended up losing their job, but they were better because of it. Now, he did it wrong.
Well, you learn
you
from
clearly
a
see that.
example,
You do
right?
that. You do. So, Bob you'd go on a mission, right? You'd be 2 weeks away on a mission, and then flying back, you'd reconfigure in the airplane. You'd get a whole new warning order, op order on the airplane, plan for it, and you'd work another crap ton of time. But you're supposed to be home now, right? No, now and it's hot out or whatever it was. I mean, it's always hot in North Carolina. It's always hot in Georgia. So now you have to do this mish, right? And then it was after action reviews were not kumbaya parties. Right. They were hard. Hey, you didn't do that right. You screwed that up. Who did this? Who shot this? This is wrong, right? What are you screwing around with? Anyway, so that was hard. And that was good to me, but it was also controversial because he was hard. But I had a conversation with a couple other guys outside my team room, and Bob came up, and I was discussing. I said, here's the thing. To me, I said, you get off the airplane, you do this hard work, you slug, toil, sweat, bleed maybe, but then you go and you get the precious cargo box because you're told to.
Right.
And what's in there? Maybe it's beer and steak. And maybe your final destination is over here where there's a fire and somebody already ready with an oven, and you throw that steak on there and you drink beer and you have fun. And he said, what, for doing your job? So yes. So love him.
Yeah.
I love the hardness, but you're going to have to, let's have some camaraderie, right? Let's have some reward.
Right.
First sergeant,
a little carrot with the stick.
Yes, please, thank you. Al Brimston, first sergeant in 175. I remember when road marches were the thing, and every Thursday was a road march, right? That was a PT road march, so that was easy. It was in your black panties and your t-shirts, and you'd go run, you do your 12-miler or whatever. And then when it was time for a 25-miler, we did a jump. We jump into Taylor's Creek, probably, or something like that, in Fort Stewart, and we walked for 25 miles. And then you're constantly cajoling and working with some young kid who not ever exposed to this before. I mean, that's no joke, right?
No,
25 miles with 40 pounds on
What is that,
jumping rope.
Was that 6 hours?
I don't know.
Y'all's
Well, no, it's so if you can do, it's 4 miles an hour.
4 miles an hour.
Yeah, this was road march for the most part.
Yeah, so you're running a 15-minute mile.
Yeah, So 4 minutes, 4 miles in an hour. That's what you get. It's a 15-minute mile. Yeah. And we get to whatever spot, and he goes, warning order. Now we're striking this target. Oh, heck yeah. So now we got squad over there looking at the target. We got these squads, getting our mish together. Take off all your packs and stuff, but people are, their feet are bleeding or whatever, whatever. And you're tired, of course.
And your shoes are, boots are wet.
Yeah, everybody's wet. I mean, it's Fort
everything
Stewart,
is wet.
Georgia, right? Everything's wet.
You've sweat.
Yeah, you have.
To the flap on your rucksack.
Exactly. Everything. You're soaking wet. So you do the hit, and you win, and then he brings in a 5-ton truck with a bunch of pallets on it and a bunch of mermites. The pallets ignite and fire. The mermites come out, and he feeds you, and we have an after-action review right there. And right away, it's, Rob, get a medic to check your feet. Get a medic. Get the medics out. Check your feet. So it's hard. Love.
But it's realistic. Now you take care of your soldiers, kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's
also realistic.
That's the key. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So you do this hard stuff.
Right.
But then let's have a time. Let's have a moment. Was beer there? And no, beer wasn't there because,
you can't drink beer after a 25-mile road march.
No,
I've tried.
You wouldn't want to.
I tried. We tried to do
You
it.
are sadly mistaken.
Sadly. You're made of sterner stuff.
Sadly mistaken. I'll tell you that I walked much farther than 25 and then had a wonderful mix of alcohol and fruit.
I love it.
Yeah.
Jungle juice.
Like a glue vine.
Oh,
Like
did you do
that kind of thing.
Did you do the what's the one in Germany where the Bastogne?
No, I did not.
The Bastogne March.
Oh,
But I would.
That sounds fun.
Were you ever in Boselager or anything in Germany?
What, who?
Boselager, do you ever heard of that? It was like a competition thing.
No.
Okay, never mind.
No. But a Bastogne.
Have you?
Yeah. Seeing when you go to Bastogne, and then there's a giant memorial there, right? And you can walk up to the top of it, and it's cold when we went, and no one was there, and the memorial is circular in nature, and it has all the casualty numbers on it from each state in the Union. It's crazy, and then you go up on top, and it shows you the battlefield, and that's where Easy Company 506 was, right there. So we go down and we go right over there. And still today, there are, so two different armies. Germans were much better at trenches. We were foxhole people.
Yep.
So we made foxholes and defensive, arrays, and they had trenches. You can see them easily today. You go there, and we found, me and Pat found a a foxhole, and shocker, I had whiskey in a flask with me, and we drank some whiskey and poured some whiskey on the ground.
That's awesome.
For him.
That's awesome.
And it is everything that, to me, I mean, when you look at that ground, it's so terrifying. You know, variable time fuses hitting the pine trees and blowing your freaking, splinters everywhere, and that little tiny hole, and the cold. It was cold when we went, and it was nowhere near cold like it was cold in 44.
And they were not well provisioned.
No. Well, they were surrounded.
They were surrounded.
Let's go with that.
I mean, you got to think, like they got there and they're going weeks, maybe like I don't know how long without socks.
Yeah.
I talked to an artilleryman who was there, and he was telling me, yeah, I mean it was bad, it was tough, and he knew that I'd been on a couple deployments. He's like, oh, you guys are doing some tough stuff. I'm like, dude, you were in Bastogne,
China Beach, man. We got China Beach.
Yeah, I
with
have the
no
internet.
socks. Like,
Yeah, we got the internet.
I don't
We got,
leave the house without
somebody had an
socks.
Xbox.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're
Like,
coming back to the mission support site and having a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you go to the Green Beans and you get your latte.
Oh, that crap,
and
yeah.
You go
Or a
jump on
Pizza
the
Hut or a Burger King or
yeah,
some
and you
crap.
jump on the MWR. Like,
Oh, it's
war
tough.
is hard.
Yeah.
Shut
your mouth.
Your grandfather got like 2 letters in a year and a half.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it was.
He was in Patton's Third Army and went from North Africa all the way to Bastogne.
I mean, I'll age myself. I mean, I'll try to keep Dutch out of this because I know we're started out somewhat in the same period. But I mean,
Because I'm older than you, is that what you mean?
no. I'm actually older than you, but I
Oh, by
think
what, a hair?
I don't know, somewhere around that same time
I'm
frame.
58.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm 60. So.
Oh, see, you are older.
So at any rate, I'll edit that part out.
Usually, no. Why? Why would you? Usually, I play that card right away, and I go, I bet you I'm older than you anyway. And usually I am. So
Yeah, no, not this case. But at any rate, back in the day, if you had a significant other or a spouse or something like that, I'd have my wife actually start writing letters before I left to go to the field because you wouldn't get them for 30 days, the first letter, and then they would start coming in, or 2 weeks or something like that. I forget how
he's
long
very
it took.
sweet, Kyle. He's very sweet.
he's a sentimental guy.
I didn't do that. The letters I wrote were, I'm completely, I have reached room temperature, and this is now yours, and I loved you for that long, and now I'm dead. That's what. That's the letters I wrote when I left. We always wrote that letter, man. Every year, every time I left, I wrote a new letter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh. Yep. I'm finished. I'm dead. Yeah. Don't forget to read your books and eat your vegetables, kid. Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so for those of you who are listening along, you have, when you get in country very often, or we always did it in country, but right at the beginning of a deployment or shortly after you arrive, you do your dead guy picture. Before you leave, you update your blue book.
Oh yeah, you got to do all kind of stuff.
Which is held by your company training room, and it's just instructions on what to do if you, the worst case scenario.
Oh yeah, you had to update everything.
Yeah. And you're supposed to update it every year.
If you don't have a bro telling you to write a letter, you need to write a letter.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
If
I
you're
don't
still
know.
in the Army right now, write the letter.
I say, fuck that letter. Believe in yourself. I wrote it once when I was a private.
Guess what? That doesn't work.
It doesn't work. A lot of
You
people
think how many
believe in
dudes you think
themselves.
were in the foxhole that believed in themselves, and an 88 millimeter shell landed right between them and
100%.
disintegrated them.
That is reality. But
Recoilless
Yeah,
rifle
I-
away
I-
from your letter not meaning shit.
Thank you.
I did it
PKM.
I
away.
did it my first deployment, and then I never did it
Dishka.
again. I was like, I won't be here to figure it out.
Dude.
Fuck it.
Oh man, come on.
All right, so worst leader example.
Oh,
Well, I actually could I rephrase your
Yeah,
question? Rob?
yeah.
What is the best lesson you
you've
learned
from the worst.
from your worst leader?
Okay.
Because we often learn from a negative example.
Everybody has one. Even if you don't know it, you have one.
Ultimately.
That's funny. I guess I don't dwell on any of those. I gave you those 3 really good examples, and then one example that I wish he went just a little bit farther. But
Well, the only reason why I think they bring that up and I bring it
got
up,
one.
because I think a lot of times people actually learn more. Some do learn more from bad examples.
no, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. My first platoon sergeant was not a good example. Was absent a lot. The commission officer did all the real work. I knew nothing about this guy. I was 19. I was 18, 19 years old. What do I don't know. But yeah. So there's that. I mean, I don't remember anything that really stuck out and said,
Fair
It's
enough.
so terrible.
Because I think, again, I think some people like really focus on, all right, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do that again. They learn lessons while you took the good lessons and said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Neither case is wrong.
Nope.
It's just that sometimes what you don't understand is, what do they call it? The leadership shadow, the shadow that you're casting out there. What kind of light or shadow do you want to put that people understand, when they read your epitaph, is that right?
Yeah, epithet. You're right.
Epitaph.
You're good.
Epitaph with some-
What do you want it to say on it? And what is it, what do you want it to leave there? What kind of legacy do you want to leave?
No, I hope that men who have served under me know me as firm but fair.
Yeah.
Firm but fair. I will, even today, right? If I do a course,
Yeah.
I develop. I've never been to this range before, so I'll just work with the assets at hand. I'll put together a shoot, right?
Yeah.
And I'll do it first every time. You're not going to get that from me. You're not going to get me. I'm not doing it. I'll just set up for you to do.
Right.
I'll do it first, and I'll set the
Lead by example.
I'll set the time too.
Yeah.
I want you to beat my time.
Right.
So, and if it's worth it to you, let's go. I'll demonstrate everything that I do in the course. And I hope that guys and gals that came to me before will say, he told me the why. The leadership portion of the why.
Yeah.
Why do you do this? Mm-hmm. Well, there's a why behind that. There's most likely a why behind it. The evolution of combat. My intermediate course, or probably the most popular, is called Evolutionary Gunfighter. But to me, there's an evolution. I heard another guy who's one of my peer group gave a IG podcast type thing, and he was talking about the evolution, and that's why I call it that. When I first did up drills as a ranger, I shot 2 shots and quit. 2 shots, quit. 2 shots, quit. There was no third sight picture. There was no why behind any of it.
Nope.
Combat changed some of that, obviously.
Yeah.
We evolved into a smarter, better shooter. So why don't we do this? So there's the why behind it. So I want to always and never are difficult words, because they're hardly ever happening, always and never. But I want to try most of the time to make sure that somebody leaves knowing the why.
That's a perfect example of a leader I had one time said, if you're not giving them the why, you're giving them the D. You're fucking them over if you're not telling them why you're doing something.
I guess I never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
Well,
T. I don't know what that means, but
Yeah, whatever.
cheers to your comment.
Yeah. Give them the why, so you're not screwing them over about what they're there to do.
I know what you mean.
That's
Yeah.
also, I can't remember which famous horse trainer said this, but I think it was Bill Riddle, cutting horse legend, Hall of Fame. But he says if they can't tell you why they're doing it, then you need to start asking questions about who's training you.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be working. There may be a good reason, but if the person you're learning from can't give you the why, are they a teacher, or are they just parroting what they learned wherever they were?
So let's take that, because I've seen a lot of stuff coming out lately about the tactical aspect, where you've got to be very careful about where you're receiving your training from. And I don't care whether it's weapons or whatever it is. If you're learning lessons or how to do something, you best make sure that, to your example, that you're getting it from the best and they're explaining the why.
Yeah, there's plenty of frauds out there for sure. I just saw the video. I'm on a professional thread of 20 or more dudes on IG that Mickey Shook had started from carry trainer, and I like Mick. He's a great dude. Not military or law enforcement background. He's just he understands it. He knows the why. He's been to a lot of classes,
right?
And now he does his own thing, and he's really good at it. But the guy was in the video was shooting from me to you.
Yeah.
Not even me to you. It was this close. And he's like, ping pong, ping pong. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, I saw that. I saw three of them, right?
Yeah.
And he's
Well, what is that?
That's what I was wondering. I was thinking one of those is going to ricochet back.
Give me a why.
Well, maybe he was. Look, to his credit, maybe he was using frangible ammunition. Okay, so I'll shoot that close to frangible, but the whole thing. Yeah, there's a lot of dudes out there that do weird stuff. I mean, I'll name names again. Instructor Zero, right? When he does this, he does this bizarre, super over the shoulder look around after you shoot. I mean, There's no need for that. They're range theatrics.
Yeah.
That's what Pat throws it out there as range theatrics. Like,
Pat has talked about that, right?
they're like falling to the ground like, well, guys don't just fall down like this, like they fall in a pile or whatever. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are we doing this at the end? Why don't we just keep in a sight picture and staying?
And I really do believe that sport shooting has a lot of stuff to offer, and so does tactical stuff. They have a lot.
Definitely.
There's got to be a marriage. There's a couple guys out there that are doing good jobs doing marrying it up, and you know, a guy in Missouri a long time ago, he said, "You show me something cool." I said, "You know, I'm not sure I have something cool to show you, but if you do this like a million times, it'll look cool for somebody else." I don't have something cool to say.
Because every once in a while, somebody, not very often anymore, because I'm not in that game, nor do I want to be, but every once in a while, somebody's like, "Hey, I saw this cool thing. Is it good? Is it bad?" I'm like, how good are you at the basics? Have you mastered the fundamentals 100%?
And when does that even happen, by the way?
I'm waiting for it.
What did was it Gladwell, right? And Outliers, 10,000 hours
Right.
to do a thing to become an expert.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll submit to you that me and some of my peers are well over 10,000 hours, but
Yes.
but you still see things wrong, right?
Sure.
If you videotape yourself, if you're drawing from the appendix carrier, you're drawing from the 3 o'clock, you still see, I got to do that better. I got to do this better. I got to change that. That's no good anymore.
Or you realize how quickly it's perishable because maybe you're reviewing the tape and you're like, okay, that's grade A, that's good. But don't do it for a month.
Yeah.
And then
Absolutely.
go and do it again. And guess what? You're back to working on it again. It's, to me, and I think this applies to everything, but do the basics. Do the basics. When you have those mastered, maybe seek out advanced techniques. But you'll know when you're ready to seek advanced techniques because what you're doing, you can no longer improve upon. And when you reach that point, I'd like to come to your class.
How do you do that too? Right? You do it with a timer, or you do it with video.
Right.
You see, I can do this in this amount of time. So can I do it now faster? Can I do it now faster, safer? Right? And I've learned too, by the way. So there was somebody called me an absolutist once because I had an opinion about one thing. An absolutist. I have plenty of opinions on a lot of things, as you know. Is that why you're laughing? Why are you laughing at me? Anyways, so
Laughing with you.
so I don't believe I am an absolutist, but as you may have learned in Ranger School, right? That's a preferred technique, not necessarily that is a technique, not necessarily a preferred technique, but a technique nonetheless. There's smarter ways to go about things. There's muscle economics. There's movement economics. But I did learn, right, from another good guy out in California, Mike. He's like, if you can go from A to Z, meanwhile you're safe and you rescue the princess, or you stop the bad guys from using the widget, or whatever it is, you're still successful.
It's outcomes based. It's not procedural based. It's outcomes based.
Yeah, So I don't do 3-gun competitions. I have done 3-gun competitions. I don't anymore, but there's a lot to learn from those cats. But also some of the stuff that they do use to be Grandmaster qualified or to be in a lineup. It's not practical at all.
You talking about those guys at like AMU? They're on Fort Benning. That those dudes can shoot their ass off.
Well,
but I don't know if the range was flipped the other way, they'd be able to shoot their ass off going back that way. You know what I mean? Like,
well, if it's Joel Turner, you don't want to be on the other side of the range.
Plenty of good dudes. There's plenty of good dudes at AMU that can shoot their
those
ass.
cats today. I went to a squad designated marksman class with them, and
Me too. Yeah, I went to their SDM course after sniper school, after Special Forces sniper course, and then I went to SDM, and I was like, man, I should have started here. Yeah. They're phenomenal shooters, but I do think when you get into the competition, you're doing reduced loads. You've got lightened springs in your pistol.
Yeah. Thank you.
You've got all of these things that make you faster.
A $10,000 pistol.
Right.
yeah, when they say
The regular person on the planet goes to a gun shop and buys a $500, $400 Glock 19.
Yeah.
And then
or
you're
they buy a
using-
6-hour 320.
You're using full house rounds. You got the full strength spring.
Yeah.
When
I
they
look
say
at,
service weapon, service weapon is a loaded term at AMU because that's not the same M4 M16 that my dude's shooting back at Kelly Hill. I promise you that's
Kelly Hill.
Kelly
Go
Hill.
back into the Wayback Machine.
that's it, dude. But I'm just letting you know that M16, those aren't created the same.
No, they're not. They may be hand selected, but I do think like I feel like I was garbage at pistol, and there wasn't anybody really around me to teach me. I mean, I'm still a Ranger. It's not a focus of ours. We had some guys.
Not a focus.
So the boys that were going out to the USPSCA and the IPSC competitions, all right, come on out and we'll learn this. I would run those courses of fire, and my goal was accuracy, safety. As long as I was safe and accurate, I would place okay. I was never going to win. I'm using white box ammo for my 9mm, so full house loads, stock Glock, stock sights.
But isn't there a category for that?
There was.
Or should there be? Or shouldn't there be?
There was, yeah. But you can make certain modifications. I was just straight out of the box.
Yeah.
But it made me a phenomenal pistol shooter. Am I going to win an IPSC competition? No. No way in hell. I'm not going to buy into it. I'm not going to practice the way they did. But it made me so that when I would go overseas, I had full confidence in my pistol ability. So the training value's there. You just have to decide what you want to get out of it. Everybody's not meant to win these competitions. Absolutely. You can go out, shoot middle of the pack, learn a million things, and get infinitely better, and have a great time.
Yep, I'll concur.
And so it just depends on what your goals are. It made me safer. It made me more lethal. Never going to win an IPSC competition.
All right, I'm going to switch gears.
All right.
Are we going to fourth, or are we going down a second?
We're going to go down backwards because I want to make.
Oh man.
So like
We're reverse.
Yeah, because again, knowing when you came in and everything, right now we're getting back to more of a garrison force, which we both served within. And but it's a little bit different because during that time frame, it was a Cold War era. We were also gearing up for a different type of war. You go into that different now a different type of war for 20 years. You're back to a garrison. Quite honestly, we don't know what kind of the war is. The next war, what it's going to be. It's probably not still going to be like what we were training for in the Cold War era. But it's different to be that NCO and that leader during this Cold War. Well, it still is almost like a Cold War era again. This new garrison world, right? And I think a lot of the stuff that you and I experienced back in the Cold War period, we're seeing it now play out. Same countries, same players and actors are starting to come forward. But you're now in the military as a new buck sergeant, new staff sergeant, squad leader, or whatever, that maybe didn't even go to combat, or if you did, it was when you were a PFC, and now you're having to lead as a leader for your very first time in garrison. I'm just curious, what kinds of words of wisdom would you give, having spent as long as you did in both types of scenarios? They got to transition and lead people for something that they don't know what's coming.
I think it's valid. It's very valid. But here's the thing: if you just gave an example of an E5.
Yeah.
So he's team leader. If he's infantryman,
yeah,
he's
team leader, squad leader, E6. Yeah.
Basics. Back to Paul.
Oh,
Basics.
10-level task.
Shoot, move,
communicate.
Are you safe and accurate with these weapon systems? Yes. Can you do all the? Okay, now then you go. So you're a staff sergeant, right? Now your squad. You got to have those boys physically fit, right? You have to know your weapon systems. How many guys did you know that didn't know the cycles of functioning for a rifle? So know the cycles of functioning, understand understand the assets that you have, right? So if a squad leader, he's got 8 guys, maybe, right? So his squad though has a squad automatic weapon of some sort, right?
Yep.
So fully automatic saw. Yep. He's got some sort of grenade launcher.
Yep.
He's got some riflemen.
Can he implement those in the correct form and fashion?
What are the assets? Do you even understand? Does he even understand what his rifle bullet does at terminal ballistics? Does he understand it? I'll go back to when I was at E6. I said to young men, I said, I want you just right now. We were in a lull at some training in Fort Stewart, a lot of pines, a lot of sand. And I said, I want you to just do me a quick movement from here to there, pick out what you want to hide behind, and do so. So they did. And then, they chose 6-inch, 8-inch pines.
Yeah.
I said, okay, come on over here. I'm going to go hot with green tip ammunition. And I cut the tree down. So now, are you thinking about where you're going now?
Yeah.
So, do you understand what the weapon with the asset you have, right? In this case, the weapon. Understand what the ammunition does terminal ballistically. What does 855 go through? How can you defeat? Can you defeat concrete block? Yes, you can. Can you defeat bricks? Can you defeat these things? And what's the range What's the range on your 40 millimeter grenade launcher? What's the rate of fire of your machine guns? So all those things. Anyway, so back to what your original question was. I don't think they need to do anything different. They just need to do it more often and harder, right? Again, so as a ranger, right? If I told anybody what rangers do better than anybody else, is that they do it harder and they do it more often.
Yes,
that's all. They're still light infantry. That's all they are. But there's a culture built there from leadership and the why, because someone says, "Hey, this happened to me, and you don't want this to happen to you."
Right.
And you have to know your systems, what you're working with, who they are. Now, the bigger picture, the geopolitical global picture, that's going to have to be somebody else. But I can tell you with all assuredness that my men and your men can take this particular structure, and we can provide fire, cover and movement to get to that structure, and we can take that structure too.
And it doesn't require a range. It doesn't require you to do anything out of the ordinary. But see, a lot of these guys, I think that's what they're looking for. Oh yeah, but you're talking about conventional versus soft. I can't do something. No, you can still use the resources that you have around you.
Conventional versus soft. Conventional units may not get assets with regards to ammunition, or we can't go to the range today because we're doing
maybe your weapons
unit cleanup or something.
Your round count's lower.
Yeah, I mean, but our Rangers still have to go to the armory to get their guns. 3rd ID still has to go to the armory to get their guns.
Yep.
Who's in charge? That's the key. It's the leadership. Everything comes down to leadership. Honestly, it's just everything does.
Yeah. No, it's an important factor because I think. Again, some of these guys may be struggling right now and trying to say, I got to go back to a training schedule. I got to go back to what am I going to do with my men during that day for that time period that we're together. There's only so much ruck or so much PT that you can do. So what am I going to do?
Sergeant's time.
Is there really though?
Yeah.
No, but is there really? Is there really only so much you can do with running? No.
I'm just saying that's maybe some of the mindset that.
My favorite times being trained and my favorite times training are when someone goes, take those dudes and go figure out something else to do.
Yeah, out of the ordinary.
Roger that.
Right.
I will see you at 1700. You will not see me the rest of the day.
Well, again, good leadership doesn't just have everybody pop out of their doors of their dorm every 15 minutes and have them do something stupid either, right? So if we have something to do, let's go do it.
Let's go do it.
If you have nothing to do, don't do it here.
Yeah, but you were even describing back in 175 where you guys were rucking. Well, you jumped in, so maybe you're not airborne. You don't jump in. You could still ruck.
You damn right.
You could still all of a sudden do movement to contact.
How about medical training?
Medical training.
Or how about pack your ruck?
Yeah.
Oh,
so many things.
Pack your ruck. I mean, because you pack your ruck for the ruck march, but that's not the shit you're carrying on mission.
no.
So get in the cage and pack it. One of the best leadership examples I know of, his name is Les Sandusky. He's one of my favorite Rangers. He's done so much in the military. We'll have him on eventually, I think. But, the thing that I liked so much about him, and he was junior to me, so I heard about all of this after the fact, is, his strength was he would say, I don't know. And then he would open up the manual. And maybe he'd do it on his own, but maybe he'd sit, he's like, hey, it's sergeant's time. We don't know how to do this. So let's flip to the man. He's a mortarman. Let's flip to the manual and see how this works. And if there's a better mortarman on the planet, I'd like to meet him. And the things he was doing with mortars in Syria and Iraq and other places, unheard of. He took what the Taliban taught him, and he took what was in the manual and just milked every single bit of performance out of that team and out of that weapon system.
Nice.
To be able to do things that we didn't know were possible. I didn't know was possible, and I was, a squad leader in a mortar platoon, in a Ranger mortar platoon, which I should have known. But I think that's what you do. You look at the basics. You look at what you don't know. If you don't know every page of that manual for your weapon system, that's your life.
Yeah, check it out.
Just read it. And if you don't know, and your boys don't know, they're not going to think less of you if you sit down and learn it with them.
No. Would you, as a climber, as a mountain climber, wouldn't you know how much weight your carabiner and your rope can withstand? Because it's a life-saving issue. Yeah. But how many kids didn't know that the cycles of functioning of the rifle? It goes on and on. We used to say, I hope they still say it. What we used to say in the Rangers was, if you had a Ranger company in a submarine, after a couple months, it would be the best submarine ever. Because it's the culture,
It's the attitude.
it's the
It's the
leadership,
culture,
and it's the leadership and the culture, the attitude, and then the can-do spirit. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to make this the best one. Because when I was a squad leader, I loved my time as a machine gun squad leader. I used to make my guys do the obstacle course with the tripods and with the machine guns, because that's what the Fallschirmjäger did in Germany. I'm like, well, they can do it. We're doing it. So
well, and that's when it counts. When your fitness counts, that tripod's going to be on your back.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it doesn't matter your time in the obstacle course. What can you do when you hit the beach, when you're going up that mountain and you have it on your back? And I think, realistic training doesn't have to require a lot of assets. It doesn't have to require a huge budget. You can do realistic training through hardship, austerity.
right here.
Exactly.
Guys ask me about drills. You can take any drill you want to and just do something different.
Yeah.
You can take a drill that somebody made, Bill Wilson, maybe Wilson Combat back in the day, make it different. You can do that. It's okay. It's just you. You can do that.
Yeah.
But creativity, whatever. It's all about leadership. Damn it.
All right, we got a few more minutes, and I want to touch on canines because we did not get down the canine path. When did you get into the canine world?
I love dogs all my life. Blah blah blah. I had a couple of Dalmatians when I was a Ranger.
Dalmatians.
Yeah, Dalmatians. Dig the Dalmatian, deep chested runner.
Yeah.
High drive. The hair was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hair is a problem. I'm getting my hair cut by the women at the mall. When you go get your Ranger haircut.
Yeah. You didn't go to.
I
God.
can't remember.
So what's the name of the Ranger?
Ranger Joe's.
Ranger Joe's.
Oh, in Fort Benning.
Yeah.
But anyway.
You're talking about first.
Yeah, but you get a haircut, the girls are in there cutting your hair, and somebody says they have a hair splitter. And I go, that's a bunch of crap.
A hair splitter?
Splinter.
Splinter.
Hair in your skin.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a bunch of crap. You're full of crap. You're a liar. So I have these Dalmatians. And I go home and I walk around in your bare feet in Savannah because it's hot.
They're like little needles?
And I got a hair splinter in my toe.
Ooh.
It was out of control. Yeah, it was like, okay, these girls are not lying to me. This is a thing. This happens. Yeah, Dalmatian hair. After the two Dalmatians had died,
Punchy sticks and everything.
I had hair. I found hair in my kit years after they were dead.
Wow.
Their hair gets everywhere. They say, Dalmatians are funny. They say, they only shed twice a year, every day and every morning and every night. So yeah, it's all the time. So anyways, I love dogs. I got to me the best place ever on the planet where I used to work, and I saw a guy with a dog, and I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Could be a thing for me later on. And then that thing really started taking off. And when a jihadi leaves the back door and he's wearing a jumpsuit and you're wearing crab precision and some boots and 40 pounds worth of kit, he's faster than you. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I could beat him in a sprint where everything's equal, but he's smoking me right now. Well, the dog goes 0 to 35 in right now. Yeah. And he can do that, right? So we started doing that. We actually started before the war, started experimenting with it. Israel, again, was another place that we got some of this information from. And to use him as a combat multiplier in the right direction. You want to hang out at the house, and you want to send him in, and he'll cruise around with a camera on his back and come back out, and you have a relative decent picture of what is or what is not in there. And he doesn't cost a lot of money. And he does it all for fun, pretty much. He does it for the jute. He does it for the ball. He does it for the kibble. He doesn't do it for much. So that became a thing. And then, like I tell you, I mentioned it earlier that me and some other cats, Ricky Hogg being one of them, Shannon Krieger, we're doing we're working with Fernando Coelho and Panteo Productions. We're doing a series of called the War Dog series. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Great War on Terror, and future. And we're just getting all these great minds together that have been doing this. And I had a dog in combat. Now, Valco, I lost Valco in 2005 to enemy gunfire. And I had another one right after that. His name was Kotha. He was super fierce. He was a one-guy dog, no matter what. Yeah. Most of the time, you try to find a dog that'll do whatever you say, whatever, and that's the way to go. So there's a fine line. We had, we were experimenting with, we told the vendor we wanted man stopper. Yeah, right. Yeah, we want a man stopper. Well, he bit me. I was the third guy he bit, right?
Malinois or Shepherd?
He was a Mal. Yeah, I'm pretty much a breed racist. I'm pretty much Malinois all the time. If I chose an animal,
Corvettes with teeth, bro.
If I chose an animal to go, it'd be a Malinois.
Yeah.
Shepherd's
titanium teeth or anything?
Oh
no, that's all ridiculous. That's all ridiculous. I don't know who did that once, but whatever. But our dogs were athletes. They would run through fire for you. But there was a point in time where, some high-ranking guys would say, "You're never going to do this," and then it was, "I don't want to go in here without one."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where it changed really rapidly. It's
an invaluable asset.
It went from well, we can't really control that to we don't know to everybody wants this now.
With a blindfold on.
Yeah, and I was very fortunate to be on a part of the program where we started it. We really refined it, perfected it. And then then our Navy counterparts wanted it, and then the FBI wanted it, and then the BORTAC wanted it, and then the FSK from Norwegian Army wanted it, then the KSK from the Germans wanted it, the SAS and the SASR, they all wanted it. So we became the hub of all the greatest information, and I was blessed enough to go to England to supervise some of the programs, Australia to give briefs on why you want this to happen. And I have countless stories on how wonderful, what great things they did, but it's a labor of love because it's a pain in the ass.
Well, you've got a weapon system that
has a mind of its own.
Everybody can turn their weapon system into the arms room, but you got to go and clean up his shit in the kennel.
You got to. You got to feed him. You got to love him.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to work with him. You got to love. He's a thinking creature. He's a thinking tool. So he's a living, breathing, thinking tool. He's not a rifle or a pistol where you can put them away.
What is that? The original AI, maybe? The original AI weapon? I mean, that's not artificial, but...
Right. I tell you what, they're amazing. Valco, he would... If you were jumping on top of a bad guy, he would push you out of the way to get him. He was... we had dogs. Jura was one of our dogs. My boy Scott ran him. He's awesome. He would come complete darkness, stick both of his feet right on you, like, come on, and then go, oh, not you, and push you away and go find somebody else. But he was that guy. He was like, you can't see very well. It's dark.
Yeah.
He can't either. But they have more rods or cones. I can't remember exactly. They can see motion in nighttime.
Yeah.
Yep.
Evolution of the wolf or whatever you want to call it. But still, dark is dark.
Yeah.
But the smell and the nature and we wash our clothes in the same washing machine.
Yeah.
With the same soap. We eat the same food. We excrete most of the same stuff. And then on top of that is the behavior. Our behavior is the pack. Our behavior is the wolf. Our behavior is the hunter. The enemy's behavior is, I don't want any of that. So it's really good. It's amazing. And I really try hard now to get agencies to buy into that. And there's so many councilmen and aldermen that don't want that. I was in Texas a couple years ago. They were like, no, we can't have this. We don't want that. It's visceral. I knew guys on my level would say, oh, get the dog off him, man. It's terrible. Terrible. 50 states, non-lethal force.
Yeah.
50 states, non-lethal force.
I always viewed the dogs as that was when you play a video game and you got the extra life.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that dog is going to go and do things that would certainly kill me. And it's just amazing to watch them work. I mean, I don't want the thing anywhere near me because I don't know anything about them.
Dude, I'll tell you.
And I'm a lot of respectful fear of those animals.
I did a lot of work, and then I was told to lay a track for this guy. It was all training, right? I laid 1,000 meter, more than, it was, I don't know what it was. It was a shit ton. It was a mile and a half, whatever it was. He goes, lay a track for me. Unknown to him. Unknown. I just had an implement, right? A thing that he had to find. And I just walked my way through the woods on Fort Bragg, longer than 1,000 meters. And then I just stopped and put put the toy there. I walked off, radio contact, yeah, go ahead and go. Dude, they found it. I mean, I'm like, how do you do that, right? It's amazing. They're amazing. When you watch this War Dog series thing, it's a 14-minute trailer on the web right now. I gave a speech too when I left. When I retired, I gave a speech to the Special Operations Warfare K9 Foundation, and we put a statue at the Special Operations Museum in Fayetteville of the dog. He's watching over Iron Mike, blah blah blah. But they do so much. It's really up to us to say, or you don't want to harness his power to stop what he can do, because it's rust on a ship. Painted over rust on a ship that's illegal or something, or you can't do it because it's a safety thing. They'll do it. Tremors in people, cancer in people,
bombs,
drugs,
diabetes,
people.
One
of the
insulin levels.
One of the amazing things to me is cadaver dogs.
Oh yeah.
That I don't know why that one crazy makes me crazy. Here's a bad guy kills family or people or whatever, and then cements. He buries them deep in his backyard and cements them over. And the cadaver dog comes and he's indicating, right? He's going around and spinning around. Somebody's under here. They have to go in there with a backhoe and
remove the concrete
stuff and remove the concrete. And there's the bodies.
Wow.
Cadaver dog,
that's insane.
You're cruising around in a lake, and the decomposition of the body creates the bubbles that you can't even see. And they come above the surface, and it's right here.
And you can smell that gas on the surface.
Yeah, it's right here, right? It's right here. Yeah, he's in the prow of a boat driving around. We
need to do an episode on canines. I think
I'm in. Whatever.
I mean, because
we still haven't scanned. We got to wrap up, but we haven't scratched the surface on even cancer.
Yeah, cancer.
More about K9.
That's a really good story, by the way. The cancer is a great story. So I think it's awesome.
So is there a round 3 at some point? We're gonna have to wait 2 more years.
Dude, okay. Here's the thing. So the first time we did it in your studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was cool and all. I had to bring my own. The second time we're here at a brewery and you're hooking me up with a beer.
Yeah.
The third time, probably should buy me dinner and then give me some whiskey or so.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm just saying we're gonna ramp this up.
We'll do bourbon distillery and steakhouse next time.
There you go. Right there. Kyle just said it.
Kyle said it. There you go. We gotta go to Kentucky.
Kyle just thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it. I'll pay you later.
I like it. Are you two in cahoots?
Yeah.
We are now. Yes.
We are now.
Yes.
All right.
He's my new favorite friend.
All right.
Dutch, appreciate you coming back on,
man. I appreciate everything you guys do.
It's
everything you do. I appreciate it.
It was awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.